For 300 years, humanity was considered a secondary species in the Orion frontier, useful, persistent, adaptable, but never dangerous. The older civilizations of the galaxy saw humans as emotional creatures obsessed with individuality, art, history, and impossible ideals like freedom and sacrifice. While the great empires forged plasma lances capable of boiling oceans from orbit and quantum disruptors that could erase entire fleets in a flash of blue light, humans spent decades investing in armored logistics ships, asteroid foundries, magnetic propulsion systems, and kinetic weapon research that most galactic strategists openly mocked as primitive. To the alien powers, throwing metal projectiles across space was an outdated concept abandoned thousands of years ago. Energy weapons were cleaner, faster, more sophisticated. Kinetic warfare belonged to the past. Humanity listened to the ridicule in silence. They never argued. They simply kept building. The conflict began in the Perseus Trade Corridor, a narrow chain of colonies connecting Earth's outer systems to independent frontier worlds. The corridor itself was poor in beauty, but rich in resources. Helium-3 extraction stations, titanium mines buried inside fractured moons, fuel depots hidden in icy asteroid belts. Everything required to sustain interstellar civilization flowed through that route. For decades, the Dominion of Kareth tolerated human presence there because humans were convenient labor and reliable traders. But when new scans revealed massive deposits of exotic matter beneath the colony world of Meridian, the Dominion changed overnight. Suddenly, the corridor was declared historically sovereign territory under Kareth authority. Human settlements that had existed for 70 years were informed they would either evacuate or submit to Dominion rule. Earth refused. The Galactic Senate expected negotiations. Humanity expected war. The first strike came without warning. A Kareth battle group emerged from slipspace above Meridian under full combat silence. No declaration, no diplomatic transmission. The colony's orbital stations were hit first. Bright streams of ionized plasma ripped through civilian docks, while evacuation alarms screamed across the surface below. Millions watched the sky ignite as transport vessels burned like falling stars. Dominion commanders believed terror would force surrender before Earth could respond. They had used the tactic against weaker civilizations for centuries. Shock the population, break morale, occupy the survivors. But humans reacted differently. The emergency broadcasts transmitted from Meridian spread across every human world within hours. Families watched grainy footage of hospitals collapsing under orbital bombardment. Cargo workers used handheld cameras to record burning stations, venting atmosphere into the void. A little girl somewhere in the colony kept asking if the lights in the sky were fireworks, while her father tried not to cry. And across Earth, Mars, Luna, Titan, and the scattered frontier systems, something ancient woke inside humanity. Not panic, not despair. Anger. The Dominion believed humanity would immediately deploy its fleet for a conventional retaliation. Instead, Earth went silent. Entire sectors stopped transmitting military traffic. Recon drones vanished. Patrol fleets disappeared from known routes. To the Dominion, it looked like fear. Kareth admirals celebrated too early. Then came the ambush at Blackreach. The Dominion's Third Spear Fleet entered the Blackreach Passage, expecting scattered resistance from retreating human forces. Their scanners detected only a handful of mining stations drifting among dense asteroid fields. No warships, no defensive formations. The Kareth commander, High Admiral Voss, ordered advance formations to proceed deeper into the corridor. That was the moment the first human railgun fired. There was no dramatic flash, no glowing beam crossing space, no warning siren, just a single tungsten slug accelerated to a fraction of light speed by magnetic rails stretching nearly 12 kilometers inside a hidden asteroid installation.
The projectile crossed thousands of kilometers in less than a second. The Dominion cruiser Voltor disappeared. Not exploded. Disappeared. One instant it was leading the fleet formation. The next, its center mass ceased to exist as the kinetic impact punched through shields, armor, reactors, and structural supports with such overwhelming force that the ship tore itself apart from the internal shockwaves. Fragments continued drifting forward, still glowing white-hot from friction and compression. The Kareth fleet froze in confusion. Their shield systems had been designed to disperse thermal and plasma energy. They were masterpieces against lasers, particle beams, and ion weapons. But no one had prepared for a solid metal projectile carrying enough momentum to mimic a small asteroid impact. The slug didn't care about shield harmonics. It didn't care about energy dispersion algorithms. It simply hit with unstoppable force. Then the second railgun fired. Another cruiser vanished. Panic spread across Dominion channels. Sensor officers screamed conflicting reports while fleet computers struggled to calculate projectile trajectories moving at relativistic speed. By the time warning systems detected incoming rounds, impact had already occurred. And humanity still hadn't revealed its fleet. The asteroids themselves became weapons. Hidden magnetic accelerators buried inside rock formations rotated silently in vacuum before launching tungsten rods the size of transport shuttles. Some projectiles fragmented moments before impact, turning entire areas into storms of hypervelocity shrapnel. Others struck engines directly, causing fusion detonations large enough to blind nearby sensors.
Within 11 minutes, the Dominion lost 14 capital ships. The surviving vessels fled Blackreach in complete disorder. For the first time in centuries, the Dominion experienced fear. Back on Earth, the footage from Blackreach spread everywhere. Crowds gathered in silence, watching replay after replay of massive alien warships being erased by invisible impacts. Military analysts from other civilizations were horrified. Humans had weaponized industrial physics on a scale no one imagined possible. They had transformed mining infrastructure into hidden artillery networks, capable of killing fleets before traditional battles even began. And that was only the beginning. What the galaxy failed to understand was that humans had spent generations preparing for disadvantage. Earth's military doctrine was built on one assumption: humanity would never possess the largest fleet, never control the richest empire, never outnumber older civilizations. So they designed weapons meant to equalize power through raw mechanics. Human engineers embraced brutal efficiency. If energy shields adapted to heat, humans would use mass. If enemy sensors tracked emissions, humans would fire cold kinetic rounds with minimal signatures. If alien fleets relied on elegant formations, humans would turn entire regions of space into layered kill zones. The Dominion responded with outrage. They accused humanity of barbaric warfare before mobilizing the Grand Armada, the largest military force in Kareth history. Thousands of warships advanced toward human territory, under the command of Supreme Executor Talvek himself. The message broadcast before the invasion was transmitted to every major system in the galaxy. Humanity has chosen extinction. Earth answered with a single sentence: advance and learn. The Battle of Titan's Grave became one of the most studied military engagements in galactic history. The Dominion Armada entered the Dead Moon system expecting another ambush hidden among asteroids. This time, they deployed advanced scanner arrays, drone screens, and shield harmonics specifically calibrated against kinetic threats. Talvek believed he had adapted. He was wrong. The humans had anticipated adaptation. As Dominion fleets advanced between the shattered moons, long-range rail platforms hidden beneath frozen surfaces began firing in coordinated patterns, not at ships, at the moons themselves. The impacts destabilized entire celestial bodies already weakened by ancient mining operations. Millions of tons of debris exploded outward into carefully calculated trajectories. Suddenly, the Dominion fleet found itself trapped inside a moving wall of rock, metal, and ice traveling at catastrophic speeds. Shields overloaded, attempting to intercept countless physical impacts simultaneously. Then the human fleet emerged from behind the debris storm. Small, fast, aggressive. Unlike alien warships designed around elegant symmetry and centralized command structures, human vessels looked brutal and functional. Heavy armor, rotating magnetic cannons, engine arrays burning so bright they resembled stars. Human captains charged directly into the chaos, while Dominion formations struggled to reorganize. Railguns thundered across the void. Every shot changed the battlefield instantly. A single impact could cripple ships hundreds of meters long. Human targeting systems focused relentlessly on engines, reactors, and command sections. They didn't waste ammunition trying to overwhelm entire ships. They surgically destroyed the parts necessary for survival. Talvek watched his armada collapse piece by piece. One Dominion carrier attempted a retreat maneuver before a rail round pierced its hangar bay at near light velocity. The projectile continued through 43 internal decks before detonating the reactor core. The resulting explosion illuminated half the battlefield. Another battleship survived 3 direct plasma exchanges with human cruisers, only to be destroyed by a tungsten slug fired from over 20,000 kilometers away. Distance no longer guaranteed safety. The terrifying reality spread through the galaxy rapidly. Human railguns had changed warfare itself. Civilizations that once relied on massive shielded warships suddenly realized those ships were vulnerable to comparatively inexpensive kinetic strikes. Entire military doctrines became obsolete almost overnight. Economies built around energy weapon manufacturing panicked. Defense councils held emergency meetings. Admirals who once laughed at humanity now studied human battle recordings with visible dread. Because the railgun wasn't merely a weapon, it was a statement. Humans understood something ancient civilizations had forgotten. War was not about elegance. It was not about ceremony or intimidation. At its core, war was physics, force, momentum, impact, and no amount of technological sophistication could fully escape the laws of motion. The Dominion learned this lesson too late. Their final assault targeted Earth itself. Desperate and humiliated, Talvek committed every remaining warship to one decisive strike against the Sol system. If humanity lost Earth, perhaps they would finally surrender. But Earth had been preparing for invasion since the first colony ship left the planet centuries earlier. Hidden beyond Pluto, disguised as frozen debris fields, waited the Helios Array. 9 colossal railgun stations, each larger than cities, each powered by dedicated fusion reactors buried inside hollowed dwarf planets. As the Dominion fleet crossed into firing range, Earth transmitted one final warning. Leave now. Talvek refused. The Helios Array fired. Observers later described it as watching stars launch lightning made of metal. Massive tungsten projectiles accelerated down magnetic corridors hundreds of kilometers long before entering interplanetary space at horrifying velocity. The kinetic energy carried by each round rivaled extinction-level asteroid impacts from humanity's ancient history. The first salvo annihilated the Dominion front line. Ships didn't explode normally. They vaporized into expanding clouds of molten debris and superheated plasma. Entire formations vanished before commands could even be issued. Some projectiles punched through multiple ships in sequence, continuing onward, still carrying lethal momentum. The Dominion attempted evasive maneuvers. It didn't matter. At those speeds, space itself became a death sentence. Talvek's flagship survived long enough to witness the destruction of his fleet. Records recovered later showed complete psychological collapse among Dominion command staff. They could not comprehend the scale of destructive force humanity had unleashed. In his final transmission,
Talvik asked a question historians would remember forever. What are humans? Earth's reply was immediate. We are the species you fired on first. The war ended 3 days later. The Dominion surrendered unconditionally. Across the galaxy, civilizations re-evaluated everything they believed about humanity. The species once dismissed as emotional and primitive had defeated one of the oldest empires in existence, not through superior numbers or ancient technology, but through relentless adaptation, industrial power, and terrifying creativity. And deep inside military academies throughout known space, new cadets studied a single principle, now written into every modern doctrine of warfare. Never underestimate a species that turns mining equipment into planet-killing artillery, especially when they've already warned you to stop firing first.